2024 order. At Second Terrace Community Room today. We have a roll call.
Commissioner Walsh absent. Commissioner Pelton,
Here.
Commissioner Samansky,
Here.
Commissioner Goodman,
Here.
President Fosdick.
Here. Are there any amendments to the agenda? There being none, we'll move forward to public comments on agenda related items. No public comments, consent agenda. Annual and regular meeting minutes for September 19th and bills and disbursements for August 2024.
Make a motion that we accept as written and put on file. Second.
I just have a couple questions on them, Lori. We're paying, charter, it looks like, what, 700, close to $700 a month.
Okay,
That's just for internet?
no, so that was we were paying over 2,000.
Mm-hmm.
This phone lines.
Yeah,
Internet.
so it's all the phones, the internet,
Internet for the
some
building.
services here.
Yeah.
Well, it depends, is that,
It's
which one
really
are,
not bad.
are you looking at the CTHV or are you looking at City of Manistee Housing Commission? Because we have two different bills from charter.
Century Terrace and Harbor View.
Okay, so that's actually for,
Yeah, and the fire alarms go through it and security and a lot
Okay.
of different things. Yeah.
So that's more than internet.
Yeah.
And the other one I have is PNC Bank. What is a 94 iChat we're paying?
so that's $10, that we
$150.
pay every time we run a criminal background on an applicant. So that's, an iChat is through the state and it gives us the applicant's,
That's a credit card.
Criminal.
That we use, right?
It's a requirement for checking.
right, so PNC is a credit card. And we use that credit card to run iChats when we screen applicants.
That's all I had. Any other questions? We have a first and a second, all in favor,
Aye.
opposed, motion carried. Old business, Inspire scores, gathered sites, Lori?
So we finally received our score. And it is a 82. And this is based on the new criteria. So the training that Kevin and I attended last week, they are now focusing, HUD is now focusing on resident units instead of outside. So now they grade you on three things: outside, inside, resident units. But the resident unit percentage is much higher now than the common areas and the outside. So if we would have been scored on the old system, so if you see where I put using obsolete REAC instead of Inspire, we would have received a 75. But with the new system where they actually are more concerned about the resident unit, inside the resident unit, we scored an 82.
Is that a good score?
Yeah, so now we will not be inspected for 2 years.
You know what our last inspection?
Oh, I was gonna grab that too, because Steve asked me that too, but I'll
I
email
think it
that
was
to
in
you.
the 70s. Or 60s.
But it was quite a while ago too, because of
Right.
COVID. I don't think there was any inspection.
Yeah, I don't think we've had one for years.
Yeah. So just a point of clarification, this, when you talk about REAC and Inspire, it's the inspection protocol, their software. That's the difference. So this is a basis, like housing quality standards, if you remember from the old MISHDA model, Section 8 HQS inspection. This is in the HUD realm. And now I think these two buildings, because we're still under multifamily for PBRA, will use this Inspire protocol now too, moving forward. So It's just it's semantics, but it's just different software. So they've focused on different things as they've experienced their inspections throughout the years. And the other issue is if you get a subjective inspector that's only looking for one thing, that could either make your score better or worse. So sometimes, yeah, it's not always an accurate representation. And I'll give you an example. So if you have like in your panel box, so if there's not a breaker in there, there's got to be a blank in there. It can't be punched out. Well, 5 inspectors looked at it before, never wrote it up, but you get the one that he noticed it. So then it's kind of unfair to us because we didn't know that it was a deficiency because 5 other guys didn't. That's right.
But I was
So-
talking with Kevin before the meeting this morning. He says now, as long as that gap is no more than a half inch, that it's okay.
Right.
So we don't get a listing of these standards?
We do. We do. Yeah. Yeah. No, going forward, yeah, we do. So we know what to look for, Karen. It's just, we don't always notice it all. And then they'll show us things that the other inspectors miss. So we kind of catch up every once in a while. So I think it's a good process to go through.
And depending on your score, if there's extra capital fund money, if your score is not high enough, then you do not get in the round for that. So we definitely want to be high enough where we can get in the round when there's extra capital fund money. So we will continue to work on increasing that score.
I think
Okay.
for the condition of the units, that's a pretty good score. I mean, this staff went through and did inspections and then did work orders preparing for it too.
Bed conversion update.
So, Stephen, you can jump in. So we had a call with Baker Tilly, just to talk about, make sure all the data was right that they're looking at and trying to get a feel for what units that we would potentially, want to save. And then the other ones likely demolish and rebuild. And then they'll develop and I think they're to that point, then they're gonna model things and they're gonna provide us, I think, a couple different pathways forward for us to talk about. I think we have to keep in balance with our meeting with community too and where they want to see us go. So if we start talking about demoing and building new units in different sites, I think there's a lot bigger conversation to have too with everybody. And I hope we're still on schedule for December with the city. Hopefully that we'll be able to once the election's over and
For us, just have a roundtable, right?
yes, yeah. You have a joint meeting.
During that, are we like throwing out any kind of like baseline ideas?
Mhm. Yeah, we'll have something from Baker. Hopefully we'll have that. And then, these are the roads we can go down. Some of it'll be predicated on finding a new site to build, and how do we handle relocation with existing residents? What's the use for the old site if we don't rebuild there? Do we want to rebuild? Is that our new construction project? I think there's a lot of roads we can go down. And I think it's worth a thoughtful analysis of each potential.
Do we have by any chance, I don't know if you can pull data in any certain way, but, age groups here in these 2 places?
We should have all demographic
How about
information.
in the,
Yeah, we should have, that's all, that data is available in the software. All that's entered.
I'm thinking about
Yeah.
homes,
Size of families, number of dependents, we can do all that.
like senior housing.
Yep. And I will say that, and I wanted to talk about the conference that we haven't had a meeting since the conference in Boyne, right?
You did.
Did we talk about it? Did we talk about it?
Mhm.
Yes, okay. Well, so what I did is part of this update is I printed off and we can send you this link and I think it would be worth you looking at. It's this, what they reference, the qualified allocation plan. So if we're going to talk about building new units, tax credit units, this is the plan MISTA adopts on how those credits get distributed. There's different categories. And there's a category under preservation, which we were funded for this building, preservation. And in this QAP, housing commissions have a 5-point advantage because it's a RAD conversion of public housing. So I just wanted to talk, so the October round was just due. And so I was involved in an application. And we were the only housing commission in the preservation category, believe it or not, which is surprises me. So,
We should have been ready.
well, you can't rush this process though. It's a long convoluted process just to get an application ready. But I wanted to point this out. Under preservation projects, eligible projects are rehabilitation of existing public housing, provided the project will involve rehabbing of existing units and not demolition, and construction of new units. So we're gonna have to be thoughtful about, can we demolish some, what's that level? So, but definitely new construction can be part of a preservation, saving some, but involving and not demolition. So I think we have to be careful of that. So when we start this discussion, if we're gonna be eligible under preservation. Otherwise, we have to go under a different category, which is an open category, which we would compete against new construction projects, which is more difficult.
Well, it sounds like most of did it for the October award, the new construction project.
No, if you go, I'll send you the link, actually. If you guys are interested,
Yes.
I'll send you this QAP link and the scoring summary. It's very interesting for you to look at because it's a highly competitive process, and there's points out there that not everybody goes after, and it's there's points for services provided, counseling services, and we really dug deep to work with agencies to provide those services. So not everybody does that. So yep. So I think we just have to be careful about how we put a project together, and I think it's worth you looking at, and then the scoring summaries with it and what points you can get with the maximum points. And I will point out though, we need an experienced developer partner because without that, you can't be competitive. So once we decide whatever direction, and I think we can do it, a developer will look at this scoring summary and say, I think you have a competitive project. We'll submit an RFP. If it doesn't look like we can be competitive, they have a lot of investment too in putting an application together. So it's a long process. So it's a lengthy and tedious process to put it together.
Mark, is there any parameters on how much demolition versus new build?
That's what I need to figure out, like, in this, to see if we would fit under the preservation category, because,
We would need at least half of those buildings.
yeah, I know.
So that's what I'm wondering, is it, because if it's not at least half, then we're kind of, it's not bothering, again, we know that a lot of them are in pretty rough shape.
Yeah.
4-inch walls and things.
So,
Well,
Or 312 roofs.
yeah, and so, would you do it, maybe, I think one of the roads we could look at is a deeper level of rehab in those units, if it meant that we are eligible under the preservation. So I think, and then, of course, this plan is up, I think, every 2 years for review, so they could change that. One of the things that, did I talk about this at the last meeting, though, that,
I don't think you were at the last meeting.
was I at the last-
Oh, were you?
Yeah. Oh, Tony Lentek, who is the chief investment officer. I mean, he came flat out and said, if I were you as a public housing, and he was speaking to the NARA group, public housing people, I would advocate for a set aside in this plan for public housing authorities. So like there's set asides for preservation, there's set aside for rural, there's for urban, rural, urban, and strategic investment and permanent supportive housing. So there's 5 set asides. He said, if I were you, I would advocate, I'd get every public housing agency to advocate for a set aside for public housing authorities. So, and in this preservation project, or in the scoring summary, we get 5 points for being a public housing agency doing a RAD conversion. So our developer said, we can't even compete against you guys. So we have a kind of a leg up if we put a good project together. So, but anyway, that's kind of the RAD update in a long convoluted way.
Any other questions on the red conversion? Okay, move into new business. Resolution 2024-13 scattered sites. Resident utility allowance and excess utility charges effective 1/1/25.
Yes, so this is the first time in many years that we've actually used the meter readings from the actual meters. So in the past, when they were under the energy performance contract, Siemens did the allowances based on what appliances were in the apartments and what the going rate was. So we actually read all the meters a year ago. And then we took the consumptions, took them by the current rates, and then did the average. And Ken O'Connor, from Energy Performance Contract Solutions is the one that helped me calculate these. So the utility allowances are all going down, but they are true numbers.
Yeah, I was happy to see that.
The scattered sites also, right?
This is just the scattered sites.
Okay, I see now. Now, are we going to charge for freezers, air conditioners? Space.
So,
heaters?
so the way that works, Steve, the units that are not individually metered, which would be the 1-bedroom duplexes, they do not receive a utility allowance. Therefore, we do charge them if they have a washing machine for water, air conditioners, space heaters, and freezers. So that would only apply to the residents that do not have a utility bill in their name.
How many of those residents?
So the 1-bedrooms, I want to say, let's see, that I think that is in our study here. I want to say there's about 8, but I can get you that information.
I would just add that this study was done by a person that used to be in charge of the utility or the energy department within HUD. So he knows his stuff. He's several levels above us in understanding all this.
And to try to put meters on those, kind of a waste of money because in 2 or 3 years, they might not be there anymore.
Well, they share a boiler or furnace.
Yeah.
So you'd have to actually install another heating equipment on the other side of the duplex.
New units wouldn't be like that. They would be individually metered and have their own system.
And then I don't know if you noticed where the 2 bedrooms that were on Vine Street, the 1703 and 1707 in the half units. Those, for some reason, they had on their own, but we incorporated those 2 bedrooms with the other 2 bedrooms. So now all 2 bedrooms will have the same utility allowances.
Motion to resolution 2024-13
I'll
resident.
make that motion of resolution 2024-13 resident utility allowance and excess utility charges effective January 1, 2025.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Steve, I think we have to do a roll call because it's a
Oh, yeah.
resolution. Yeah, sorry about that. Commissioner Szymanski,
Yes.
Commissioner Pelton,
Yes.
Commissioner Goodman,
Yes.
President 5.
Yes. Motion carried. Resolution 2024-14 standard site flat rent schedule effective 1/1/25.
So currently we have 8 residents that are benefiting from the flat rent option. And last,
Explain what that is.
yes, so if 30%, so your rent is based on 30% of your income. And if it's to the residents' benefit to choose the flat rent option, we cap the rent at the flat rent amount. So even though 30% of your income for, if you're living in, let's look at a 1-bedroom. So the 1-bedrooms do not get the utility allowances. So a 1-bedroom unit, currently is $623
That's the flat rent amount.
is the flat rent amount. So if 30% of your adjusted gross income was $800, we would not charge you more than $623. So that is based on 80% of HUD fair market rent. That's what we used last year. That is the minimum HUD requirements that you have to at least set your flat rents to 80% of the HUD fair market rents for Manistee County. In this schedule, I did use 90% of the 2025 fair market rent schedules when I base the flat rents.
So even in inflated market.
We cap it, so we give, it's to give people an advantage, a break. If their income goes up and through work or earned income, it's
Speed go up. They are. Income isn't really.
Well, people can certainly choose to stay at the 30%.
Yeah.
Yep, so if it's to their benefit to stay at the 30% of their adjusted gross income, then they can choose to do that.
And we walked through that clearly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And once you're on the flat rent, you do not have to have a recertification for 3 years, but we still always look at it to make sure it's still to their benefit to stay at the flat rent.
Lori, when was the last time we've done a flat rent adjustment?
Annually,
So this is just for this year then, so we're looking at between an 8 to 9% increase in flat rate. How would that compare to the average that people are paying on the 30%? I know that's
Well, people are
an easy
paying
question to ask.
well, based on I just worked on our operating subsidy. And based on the income that we're receiving, on an average, and they take, that's like, if 100% of our units were occupied is the way they base it. I believe it's right around $335 is what we're receiving on the average for rent.
Yeah, tenant portion,
10%.
based on that 30% formula. So your question is, how much did incomes go up? I mean,
Well, yeah, because, on average, incomes would not go up 8%.
no,
With rare exceptions, I would say you're probably closer to 2%.
it's typically really follows what the social security increases are. That's really what our income typically goes up. But there's some variables, there's earned income. But in the rental world, these numbers are based on what's happening in the private sector rental world. So it doesn't match. I mean, we obviously know what housing costs probably have gone up 20%, some rental increases. So we have to base it on some number that they determined that
Well, and there are some new guidelines too, for residents that are over the initial income limit. And they may not be able to stay in public housing. So I'll be bringing back to you some HOTMA. We do have to have HOTMA, by July 1st. They keep moving the date, which I'm glad of that, because we have to redo our admissions and continued occupancy policy. So I have not had time to learn all the new regulations. But once your income exceeds, like I believe that the way it used to be is as long as you were paying the flat rent, that you could stay in house. But there are some things they're throwing there now that after so many years, if you're still, if someone's making $150,000 and they're in a one bedroom paying $675 for rent, then maybe they should go out in the private market and get their own place and let somebody utilize the unit who needs the assistance.
Yeah.
So those are also options. So at least this way, for now, it keeps, the rents capped where people can afford them, but there are some regulations coming down that, they may only be able to continue to live here for so long when their income exceeds certain levels.
I feel bad for, it's like those that are on maybe a fixed social security and a pension of some type, And it's like, so they just happen to get crushed that and after 10 years living here and they'll be out. That's sad too. I'm not talking about the $100,000 person. Just talking about maybe.
So,
Well, I
Well, that's
think so.
80%. So 80% of the area median income
I
is
get
the
that,
public
I'm just
housing
saying.
income limit.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
This also has a unforeseen
Yeah,
consequences. I think.
Yeah, and just for clarification, that's what Lori referred to HOTMA. It's this, I can't remember it's a HUD acronym, but it's this housing opportunities through moving something. But it's a bundle of regulation changes that we have to implement, so. I think it was done legislatively through the appropriations
One, it's
process.
the first time they're changing how you calculate rent as
Yeah.
well. So they're changing deductions. They're actually increasing the elderly deduction up to, I believe, 520. But they're also the medical deductions. Currently, we're allowed to give residents a medical deduction in the amount of anything above 3% of their annual income. They're actually changing that to 10.
That's great.
No, that's not great for the
No.
tenant.
For the,
That's worse.
oh, I thought you said for them.
So now,
They're giving them an allowance of that much.
so what it is, you're only allowed to give a deduction
What's a deduction?
above 10% of their annual income.
Kind of like a tax
I
return,
thought
you
you
have
said
to.
it was like break.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the other thing we have to choose on how we're gonna phase that in. So you can phase it in. So like this year, so right now it's at 3%. So we could say next year, we're gonna go to 5%, then 7.5, and then in 3 years, 10%. So those are all things you guys I'm gonna have to bring back to you, and you're gonna have to decide how we're gonna implement these changes. Because they do give the housing commission some leeway on how you're going to do it. It just has to be in your policy.
Yeah.
Couple things. You're suggesting that we go from 80% to 90% of HUD's fair market value?
No, they said you have to do at least 80%.
So we're staying at 80.
no, we're.
We're-
No, we're going to
This-
90.
This is
After that
proposed
conversation.
at 90.
Yeah.
Do we know what the 80%, what would the dollars difference be between 80 and 90% on the proposed flat rate?
We do.
Well, I would take
It was 80
75
last year.
divided by 90 divided by 8.
I think-
Yeah, most housing commissions do 100%, and you can actually go up to 120%. But where am I at? Right here. Okay, so
600. One bedroom.
Well, you have to use the rent number to get to the 80 or 90%.
yes, so for 2025, Manistee County, Michigan, fair market rents for all bedroom sizes. So one bedroom is $750, two bedroom is $984.
984.
Yep. A three bedroom is $1,237 and a four bedroom is $1,305. And they do have efficiency units on here, but we do not have any efficiency units.
Now, this is HUD's fair market value,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what the flat rents have to be based on. They have to be between 80 and 120% of the fair market rent.
Okay. Now, we have 5 units. I assume.
So this is public housing again,
Yeah.
not here.
Okay, it
This
doesn't,
is sketchy.
doesn't affect here, okay?
No, this is just public housing.
Okay.
Most people in the world would look at these rents and be dancing down.
Yeah, it's pretty fair,
So
really.
it'd be
Very
it would be our $643 instead of $675. If we went with the 80%.
80%.
The 90. My math is correct.
So, well, right, so the one bedroom for market rent is $750.
Right,
So we are proposing to cap that at $675.
Which is 90%
And
of,
currently it's at 643.
Right, Nick's saying if we went at 80%, it would be the
600, yeah, if we went to 80, it would be 643, something like that. But
Oh,
I was just doing a comparison
Yeah.
of what the minimum requirement would be, so that
one bedroom would be 680%.
So it's nice to give residents an option to be able to stay at housing at the flat rents. Instead of, increasing the rent to $1,200 and then they have to move. So it's nice having the flat rents to give them that option.
Okay, I entertain a motion.
I move to accept the flat rent schedule of resolution 2024-14. That has been presented to us tonight on October 17th, effective January 1st, 2025.
All in favor?
Wait.
Is this roll call?
yes, roll call. Did somebody second?
No.
No,
I'll
okay.
second it.
Roll call.
Roll call. All right. Commissioner Samansky,
yes.
Commissioner Goodman, Commissioner Pelton,
Yes.
President Foster.
Yes. Standard site snow plowing proposal.
So we've talked about in the past whether we should have all the scattered sites plowed. So this would be the first time we actually have, and I can get 2 more proposals. I did get this proposal from Lakeshore Property Solutions. So per push for all, 47 units, it would be $310. So I thought that was very reasonable.
How many houses are we talking about?
Look at mom.
So our buildings, I believe we have 38 buildings, Steve.
Okay. So all 38 then.
And that's for plowing the drives,
The
right?
drives, yeah.
Yeah.
And some salt.
Well, if we want salt, it's going to be an additional $295.
Salt is such a touchy thing that
Yeah.
I would just soon have our maintenance people do salt. Mainly because when you pay someone to do salt, they just dump it on.
Well, if we have an ice storm, I
Yeah.
wanted that option to be able
Yeah.
to say, I need you to go salt today.
Yeah, I would only.
And I
stay
know
with
what he's
this
gonna
ice
charge
cream.
me.
Yeah.
Cause
It's fair to have that.
Okay.
Who is Lakeshore Property Solutions? Do they-
Nick Bertier.
Oh,
Yeah, he's into everything.
yeah. Okay. You're gonna get some other bids or not?
Well, typically we always try for 3.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to make sure that, cause this is a different practice than we've
Yeah.
done in the past, so I just wanted to make sure that, and then if you just wanna make a motion to go ahead and allow me to go with the most reasonable bid.
Yeah.
Once I have them.
Is this budgeted? This expense, did we put this into the budget?
No, because we haven't done it in the past, but we have plenty of funds to be able to afford this.
I would like to get 3 bids and then you pick the best one. I would like some references on each bid if possible. Just because I do know some people, bid and then they get too many deals and they don't get it done. Also, this is a per time. We're not paying like for the whole, we're just each time they go.
Right, he did give me another proposal, but I didn't want to go with that one. I'd rather do it, especially if we have a winter like we did last year. That was great.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
So I'll make the motion that we get a 3-bid system for snow removal.
We already have that.
We only have one.
Want to approve.
Well, we want to approve the approach, you know, that we're gonna contract it out. And this is just was kind of getting it on the table, so if you could authorize Lori to negotiate the, you know, out of the three quotes, the best and most responsive bidder.
And I am working on the budget, Mick, so it will be in the 2025 budget.
Okay, so we
That
don't
sounds,
have 2 other bids, so I
No.
just want to make sure
Right.
that we do our diligence.
Yep.
That we have, let's see, I'll make the motion that we allow Lori, director, to review and choose most appropriate fiscally snow plowing bid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll second that.
I have another question before we move on. Again, up there in, my Reed's Park, Hollow Court. That is plowed by the city, correct? Okay,
The circle, I believe. Kevin
Yeah.
calls it the circle.
and then we do their drive.
we'll do the
Well, they-
drive.
We never have,
They
but
don't
we,
have,
They don't have
drives up there. There's
Some
only a
do.
few, Yeah.
Some do. The parking doesn't get plowed,
Oh,
you know, so the drive
They
and
just swipe.
yeah, they just go,
One
I
swipe.
think the plow trucks just go through and make a swipe, and then everybody that's parked in there, that's what we would clean up.
Again, I guess, I hate to wait for this rad conversion to really push about that road. But, you know, I don't even know how the plow truck, enjoys that ride because,
well, it's my understanding they're taking sections, the city.
well, yeah, I know that, but Holly Court's not a. Yeah. So,
Let me check into that and get back with you.
That'd be, maybe,
Yeah,
is
we
it, who's the
talked about this
DPW
several
director? Jeff?
Jeff
Maybe that's a
McCord.
conversation to have.
The other thing, that this isn't about snow plowing, but it's about scattered sites when we were there at night. The outdoor lighting is insufficient. Is it because of, and I never went back during the day to check to see, is it because we got a lot of burnout light bulbs? Or
No, it was only one.
There's only one light
So
back
it's
there?
replaced.
He was working on it. He was gonna go get a huge ladder. I'm like, no. We said, no, Kevin, do not climb up.
Get an electrician, get a lift up
Yeah,
there.
so so
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Top Line's been there yet to do it or not, but it's definitely in the mix. And then I also told him to install one on the maintenance garage.
And just, yes, because we're in the dark season.
Oh, yeah.
There was another little project up there that sat for several months that I was glad to see done, but I want the lights to be, they would be. It's just not as safe.
Okay, that's what I had, so let's go back to snow plowing.
Yeah.
All right, that's,
Motion on the floor.
all in favor.
Was there a second?
That's-
Yeah,
That's
Do
the
we
mix.
have a second? Oh, yeah, Mick.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. VMware renewal and upgrade. Now, it's my understanding this is just about the server that we're paying for.
So we had a new server installed 3 years ago, I believe, 4 years ago. Your server will be 4 years old. So, yeah, so they sent me this proposal to continue the warranty for 3 more years, which he told me that the life of the server is around 7 years.
Now, what exactly does a server do?
It's like you're-
It's the brain. It's
Yeah.
it's the centralized system.
Well, I understand that back in the day when it was IBM 90s and it had to talk to the main server because this was just a dumb terminal.
Yeah.
But now that every computer has its own quote brain, why do we need a server?
Doesn't the server have the cloud?
Yeah, I think that
Stuff?
you still,
Yeah,
no matter
yeah.
what system you have, Steve, you
Right.
still have to have a server. If you have multiple users and a bigger system.
This is storing all that shared data.
Yeah,
Correct.
you have shared
That's
drives,
right.
shared folders that has to go somewhere. And
Okay.
the only way to do that is to, in our software, we have some pretty sophisticated software specialized to public housing and tax credit stuff. And it has to have multiple users, so it's gotta be housed somewhere.
What is a new server called?
That was my next
I
question.
don't know.
Depending on its size, it could go 20, 30, 40,000, 50. I mean, it's just.
So $3,000 to
Maintenance.
warrant for warranties is a good deal.
Is that for 3 years or each year?
That's for 3 years. And then there, on the software, that was just over $700, and that was actually due this month, so I did renew that, because that would expire, I believe, on the 28th of this month.
It's really just a cost of doing business. It's
Right.
like your cell phone bill. We didn't have that 30 years ago, but today we do, and
Motion to go for the extension on the server warranty.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Presentation discussion, there is none. Reports of communications, Mark and Lori, you're up first.
all right, I guess I'll lead off. A couple of things. You guys saw the note about being 100%. I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty incredible considering where we were at like a year ago here.
I would like something in the paper
Yeah.
knowing that.
You know, that's a press release might not be a bad news release might
Yeah.
be.
Do we have,
A waiting list? Yes,
okay, all right, so somebody leaving and we're already able to fill it.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have, it's not a huge waiting list, so still send applicants our way, but we do have a waiting list.
So we're in a pretty good place as far as, and even in the scattered sites, still getting everything back online. I think it's been a pretty good transition.
I would consider the scattered sites 100% now too. 100% of everything that we have available is full.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we have, I think, 3 vacant units right now, right? One we're working on. Is there 3?
Yeah, we're working on all 3 of them.
Yeah. And there's a pretty good waiting list for the scattered site.
So I would just say we're 100% full everywhere. Because everything that we have available is full.
So one of the other things I ask every time I come here, is Thompson Landscaping ever gonna do our retaining wall? So we tried to call them again today. You know, and the fall is a good time to landscape.
Right.
So, but what point, we want them to answer the question, what point do we not move forward? Is it November? Or do we wait?
It always depends on the weather.
I
though.
know.
You know, first part of November can still be nice and ground's not frozen.
Yeah, so I mean, the plants are dormant anyway, so I mean, but
This is the time where you
Not
want to
yet.
plant though. This
Yes.
is for
Right
this
now,
time of year,
yeah. So
especially after. a little bit of
we're
rain.
trying to get an answer. No,
You know, the is, do we move on?
well, it was my understanding,
Next spring.
yeah, and do we wait till the springtime? I mean, that's the,
You're not gonna, not here.
We
yet.
awarded the contract.
They're not here.
Is it because they're busy?
yeah, we knew that.
yeah.
We knew it was gonna be a challenge to get it
I
done.
think it'd be great to have it all fresh in the spring, like be on their schedule for first in the spring. And have it all nice and
They can
beautiful
also give us
early.
a time frame and guarantee us
Yeah.
that. I don't want it to start spring and then it's late spring,
Well,
and
yeah.
it's summer.
Because I really was hoping by July 4th that we would have it done, and we talked about it and talked about it. So,
It was May when we awarded it.
Well, if you do it in the spring, you're gonna have to water.
Right.
The nice
It's
thing
okay.
about in the fall, it establishes it's root.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be it's not as necessary to water all the time.
but if you get into November, I don't think I think they're pretty
Right.
dormant by then, and they're not
Right.
growing anything. So I just wanted you to know that it's in my mind anyway.
Well, if they're not here by the November, it's like, you know, I'd be on them about, I want a date for,
Yeah.
you know, springtime, and I want to be at your first on the list. Because then it'll be a year.
So
Yeah, we
the
can't
other.
do that.
The other issue, and I don't think we have to resolve it today, but I wanted to bring it up. We probably should have put it on the agenda, is, and you guys saw this, that we have a maintenance shed at the scattered sites that's not being really used. We have a maintenance shed here that is on the verge of
Falling in.
not being able to be used. So, and that goes back to it's on the, we have a Riverside meeting coming after that. We could talk about it then too, but where do we go? I looked at it, I think with a little bit of work and we have the money in public housing, scattered sites, we can make that into a heated space that we need for some equipment. Tear down the portion that needs to be torn down here because I just, there's not the money in, it's a partnership issue. It was in the original project and removed. So I think we can talk about that later. But at the same time, we're using it for our stuff organizational wide. And I think we could certainly, that's in good condition. Structurally wise, we could insulate it, put a little heat in there. I mean, it would be easy to do, and we could probably do it for in a insulated garage door, probably for $10,000 and have a nice heated space. So,
But that is going to get probably torn down if we do a rag conversion.
well, it could, I mean, or it could stay there as a standalone until I think that's part of the discussion where we end up too.
Well, I'm just saying that, do we pay for a insulated garage door that something that we're only gonna have heat in it?
Or we could spray it too. We could spray the existing door too, Steve. But I mean, there's a cost to do both.
Right.
So I think it's a question in, to me, it seems like the most logical move because we just can't, there's no safe. I mean, you've seen it. The foundation is buckling. The building is right on the lot line. I doubt that zoning is going to allow us to rebuild it there if we tear it down. So that's a conversation with the zoning department too, or the,
That whole lot is ours, though.
yes, yeah, the whole lot. But the building, I mean, literally, I think it is on the lot line. And I don't know what the zoning would allow. I don't think you could build it back there today without any
I'm just
setbacks.
saying, that lot's available, if we knock something down, have some ability in the future.
Yeah,
That lot is
Exactly,
ours.
exactly.
I forgot it's part of this
It was,
Mhm.
development.
the back of the building is okay. That's cold storage. And you can, it was scabbed into this front part was scabbed. I don't know which came first, honestly.
But we're gonna have some cost to replace them where the two join, the roof and the. side.
There's gonna be something, yeah. So there's gonna be a cost, there's no question.
Well, there's a cost of tearing it down.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
You're looking at probably 30,000 for demo.
I think we should talk to, Lamping.
Well, let's, we can
Could
defer
we get
that
some
to,
estimates and
Yeah.
kind of get what
Yeah.
would it cost to tear down the old building?
Yeah.
What would it cost to make the other one? How about logistically? Is that going to be an issue being at having it relocated over there versus across the
No.
street from here? Or-
I don't think so, because we're going back and forth all the
You
time.
know, it wouldn't be bad to have a presence up there.
That's right,
Yeah.
that's right.
You
It
know,
would be very good.
I just, after our walk and stuff, it's like, I think that if we were up there a little bit more.
It could be, there could be a small maintenance, there is a small maintenance area there. We have one in here too. That's really just to keep and Kevin drives the truck home, so there's one that doesn't need to be housed. The other one could be housed there and they could report right there
Yeah.
every morning.
I like it. I
So-
think it should.
But I think we'll talk a little bit more about this at our next, but I wanted to plant that idea.
Just get some.
And I don't think that building location would be impacted, I don't think, on any general plans of that area, because it's pretty much set aside next to that fenced area.
That's right. I don't think you're gonna build next to it anyway.
Yeah,
It could go with the new project.
correct.
It's in great shape. I mean, it seems
It's right
silly
off of the
to,
road,
Yep.
it's conveniently located for that, so.
so anyway, that's all I had, but I wanted to bring that up. Because I was in it a couple weeks ago.
Well, if something's gonna get done, it should get done while the weather's better right now, right?
Yeah, I don't think we could probably get somebody to look at it that quick. And probably, I mean, I don't know. The trouble we have scheduling, getting contractors scheduled,
Well, would you think about spray foaming the inside and
Yeah.
then getting into
I don't even know if we need to spray foam it. I think we could probably put,
Insulation.
put insulation in, yeah.
That'd be like
Yeah, I think we can do
It's
that.
easy.
We need some electrical work in there. We want to put some new lighting on there, but there's very few outlets. We need a HVAC system, a small one.
Well, I wanna be careful about how much money we put there in case in 2 or 3 years down the road, we have to tear it down.
Well, I know, it's the same philosophical question about the units that we're
No
fixing
matter
up
what,
too.
even if we tear it down, we will need, I mean, are you talking one of those hanging units to?
Yeah.
You could get a mini
Yeah.
You
split
can,
for,
you can
Yeah,
move that
$3
wherever we
grand.
need to go.
And you could even put a small electric heat. It only needs to be heated to 50 degrees or 45 degrees. Yeah, we're not talking about, 50, 60 or 70
Yeah.
degrees in there. So,
See,
but we'll have more, but that's what I was thinking right now. That's kind of where we
There's
might.
yeah, the garage door people from Cadillac come over here and do garage doors all the time. I think it's great.
And lights and
Yeah.
drivers,
I think it's good.
Anyway, that's all I had.
Like one's coming.
So the fire system here at Century Terrace was all brand new during the renovation. But I'm not sure who made the decision to not monitor the in-unit detectors. But the in-unit detectors are not monitored. So if a smoke detector goes off in a unit, it does not trigger the fire department to come until the smoke's out in the hallway. And so the common area smoke detectors are monitored and dispatch will come if the smoke gets out in the hallway.
So all public areas are monitored,
Yes,
but private areas aren't.
correct. So during the fire drill, meeting with the fire chief and the fire marshal, we had a discussion. And the fire chief recommended that we do monitor them. So that we do dispatch the fire department anytime a resident smoke detector is activated,
Don't you get charged for that every time?
not by the,
I don't think
Fire
so.
department.
If they were integrated wired, hardwired, you get a service agreement, but not every.
oh, are you talking about from the alarm company?
Yeah, and from the fire department.
Not the fire department.
Mm.
But the alarm company, yeah, so that's my next comments are about, so they want to charge me $1,008 to reprogram the panel so that it can be monitored. And then they are working on sending me a new monitoring agreement.
So,
The cost,
$1,008 flat, not for each unit.
$1,008 just to program the panel.
Yeah.
And then we'd have the capabilities of, so right now, if somebody unhooks their smoke detector, so I don't know why they have to charge me $1,000 because I told them, I said, I thought you could just change it at your monitoring company.
No, it's got to be programmed into the system.
I'm like,
Because right now, if someone
Alarms.
I know, that's what I thought, too. Speaking of alarms, so which we had this happen, somebody burnt her eggs, so she went in her bedroom, unhooked the smoke detector so that the maintenance wouldn't come. But what happened is we were called because she did that, and it said there's a trouble in unit 200. So Al went up there and there was no head on the smoke detector. So he found the head and put it back up. So they are monitored for trouble. So if it's not working, we get a call. So that's why I thought maybe, it wouldn't be, but anyways, they're gonna charge us $1,000 to reprogram it so that it will tell dispatch to send the fire department.
So we're adding the dispatch piece of it. So it's the system is not just gonna be us, it'll be dispatched.
Well,
Well, right now, we don't get, if it's a smoke detector, we do not get notified.
Okay, how did he know to go up to that?
So it's programmed as trouble.
yeah,
So
it's-
if a
it's
detector
smart
is
enough to
in
know
trouble,
that there's something not right, but it doesn't know that it's a fire.
There's two sides of this sword. One is the nuisance calls. Someone burns or
Yeah.
aches or whatever.
This is the fire marshals and fire chief
They
decision.
would rather come though, Steve, on a false alarm than have a real alarm.
And the other side is someone comes and starts a fire in their apartment, ends up dying of smoke inhalation or whatever, and nobody knows.
Is this at Harborview or here?
This is strictly Century Terrace because Harborview is not monitored at all in the units. So like they have this battery backup, electric hardwired. They have a hardwired detector that's battery backup at Harborview.
But
The
there's
only ones that
no-
are monitored at Harborview are the common areas. So there's no, the units at Harborview are not wired to
Be monitored.
be
And
monitored.
they weren't replaced during the renovations. So, but I will say this system is new, sophisticated. It should be point-to-point monitoring. Why they didn't program it that way, we can't go back and change that, but I think you should move forward. And it's nice to know that as soon as somebody's detector goes off, the system knows exactly what unit it is. They're dispatched instead of a fire department coming over here on a common area call and then trying to figure out which unit it started from.
Exactly.
It's silly to have this new equipment and not use it to its
So that will
capability.
identify, the dispatch knows exactly.
It'll
what unit.
exactly know. It'll say bedroom smoke detector
Oh,
right on the
In
panel.
unit 200.
And then the monitoring company will know that and they'll relay that information.
The other thing would be an educational piece process, just like, I have an alarm system on my home. And if I accidentally trip the alarm, I make a phone call and I said, my bad. And I give them the distress number and then they don't have to come out. I don't have to have the police come running to my house.
Right. Well,
So
if,
if we could create
Yeah.
something like that, so that the guy who burns his toast.
yeah,
can just
exactly.
call.
It's a educational process, so we can preempt the 911 call. Exactly.
Well, the other thing, we will be able to keep track if there is, as people are getting elderly and they are continually burning things, we may not know about that unless the neighbor tells us. So, we can keep track of people that maybe we need to contact family members and let them know that, your mom's, in the last week, your mom's had 3 fires on her stove, we're concerned.
yeah. Do you need a motion to do this or are you good or what?
Yeah, you're spending 1,000.
I think-
And
This is
the
Riverside Century
monthly
Terrace.
contract's
Yeah.
gonna go up.
What's that?
The monthly
The
monitoring
monitoring.
contract will increase as well. And I did call Tom, the fire chief, yesterday to make sure that I let him know, this is gonna be, I didn't think it was gonna cost us anything in
Well,
the
this
beginning,
is
when I said this should not be a problem. So I said,
Yeah,
are you guys for sure want me to proceed with this? Cause my meeting's this week and I wanna make sure that you definitely want us to spend this extra money, and they do. They want to be able to know if there's a fire in the unit.
So Commonwealth and Sinclair are on board with this?
No, well, we're not,
Well, they have to be. This is a CTA.
Well, it's a budgeting issue we're okay. I think we can do it within,
it's not over 10,000.
we can do it.
Okay.
Need a motion?
No,
Nope.
Okay, so operating subsidy forms, I did submit, yesterday. It's around 156,000. And then they will do a proration. So I'll let you know when we actually find out for sure how much we'll be getting for public housing
Well-
operating subsidy for 2025.
it depends on the fiscal budget, which they keep doing continuing resolutions, so that's why they prorate it until we ever get it, until somebody ever adopts a full budget.
Which will be the day after hell freezes over.
We did launch the website. It's still under
Really?
construction, but at least people can go on there, get our phone number. I do have the public housing app on there that can be printed. I am working on resident or applicants being able to actually complete an application. And then it would come to us and it would be all printed, and I'm just working on electronic signature and that. So at least we finally did launch the website.
In the news article that you're gonna do, I would list that. We have a new website and we'll have,
News release.
yeah. Listed in there.
Good point, Karen.
several times we've talked about a dog park. I'm not sure, is there even anywhere we could ever consider, I know that's still an issue with, there's so many people here that have dogs, but I'm not sure what to do about it. But anyways, I still think we should continue to talk about that.
Maybe we talk some Boy Scouts or something about putting a project together.
And then presence at here, like I really think it'd be great to have someone present in that office. There's just a lot of things that are going on that, I really feel like if we were able to have management presence in this building, we'd be able to keep track of a lot more of the
Keep
things that are
talking
going
about
on.
it.
We have,
I would like to see a plan. I mean, we keep talking about it, but what's the plan? Let's get an idea.
That's what I'm
What it
saying.
would- What it would take.
Put it together
Yep.
and bring it here.
right, are you still working on trying to help us out with that, Karen?
I need a plan, because what am I helping out with?
Yeah.
Just having your staff presence in this building, in that
Yes,
office.
but tell me what. I
Yeah,
mean,
so we need
I
to
can't
identify
just say,
services and.
Yeah,
Well, I think.
Plan for
we should have
staffing.
Management present.
that's what she's saying.
Up till-
Yeah, she said that.
Yeah.
Well, she's talking about central wellness.
We
Well,
can
both.
have an office. Yeah, but it's like, okay, when's this opening up?
Yeah.
Who's gonna be here? Is there a secondary person? Do we get a key? I mean, there's,
Yeah, what other agencies are involved in the whole thing? Yeah.
And then the last thing I have is, what your thoughts are about a feasibility study. I had talked with Steve about, there's, what is the last name of the family that left Menger?
Oh, the
Oh,
vendor
Mingers.
funds.
yeah,
Right.
Yes. About possibly applying for a grant to have like a walkway
the
along the
foundation.
river through the community foundation. So first, we'd have to apply for a grant to do a feasibility study. So if you guys think that's a great idea, then I could work on trying to apply just for funds to do a feasibility study to see if it can even happen. See if maybe the community foundation would give us the funds to do that.
I would say that maybe you want to talk to Laura and see if it even, if it would be considered before we spend the money. I don't know.
Well, that she would, because she would be asking for a grant to fund it
For the feasibility.
for the feasibility.
You're talking to ask the foundation for a grant just for the feasibility? I don't.
I think that would be down on our list of
Uh,
things.
Laura would be a yes or no.
I mean, otherwise we'd have to fund it out of Riverside,
Well,
because Commonwealth is not gonna
No.
but if we're,
probably
I mean,
support that at this point.
if we're gonna pay for something, I would rather pay for something like, okay, these are the things we want. We want, plants, we want a walkway, we want a dog park. I mean, if we're paying money for something that's gonna give us a design or an idea so that we can apply for grants, then I would, I don't know, I mean, is it feasible for this? Can we do that? I don't know. I just don't wanna do little pieces
Yeah.
and keep,
Well, I think anything you do on that riverfront is a huge
well, I
dollar
just don't
number.
know that you'll be able to do it. I
Yeah.
mean, again, so I think there's like a walk down over at Harbor View that has kind of a space where you can walk down and sit there.
Mm.
Kind of,
Yes.
Really?
Just a little bit.
It's
It's a
probably
pretty little
more than,
area.
it's more than
It's on the far side.
a light
Yeah.
gray.
Far corner.
But,
But I mean, let's start thinking about liability.
Yeah, well, no doubt. I mean, here, there's access to the riverfront much easier than over there.
Or, I think you said it or something, bringing in rocks and stone.
Well, you should remember, there is this building that was purchased between the two buildings. You can see where our two retaining walls and riverbank ended, and there's nothing there. I mean, I think,
In other words, drive seawall in there and make it continue.
well, yeah, and that's a big, big project.
Oh,
to
yeah,
think
cause you're
about.
gonna get.
Yeah, that would be a
Coast Guard.
DNR Eagle
Yeah,
funded
Yeah,
project.
but that's, I mean, Steve brings up a point. If we know what we're looking at,
Yeah.
Eagle has a lot of ability to grant bigger funds.
Yeah.
It's like, shoreline improvement.
Yeah.
Kind of stuff.
And remember, there's an ownership issue too.
Yes, right.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, well, if it doesn't cost them anything, I'm sure they'll be fine. So.
There's Eagle guys come out,
Yeah.
all the time
Yeah.
around here to give you, assessments. I mean,
Mhm.
just call them and,
They're all involved in the Riverwalk stuff now.
yeah,
mean,
they're
they've done-
here.
they're
They're
here.
here.
Yeah, Manistee's a wild and scenic river, so I think it qualifies for some.
Yeah.
It's just, there's so much potential along here. It's just sad that no one's ever
Yep.
taken the initiative to do anything.
Right.
So I
do
know we
what-
don't have the money to do it ourselves.
So do what Steve said, call over to the foundation, talk to Laura, he's in charge, and say, would a feasibility study of our waterfront area be considerable? I mean, so
See
be,
that they
yeah,
would support.
and it could be open to public, because that's one of the big things that they
Right.
like. It's a public access.
It would have to be open to the public for the foundation to.
Is it Manistee Community?
Foundation,
Right.
yeah.
Well, and what is it?
Manistee County,
No,
just
Manistee
Manistee
Community.
Community.
We're Century Boat Company used to test their boats down here. All that piping is still sitting there.
It's a mess.
It would just, I mean, it's,
It'd be nice to clean up that.
And the Corps would probably be involved in all that.
Yeah,
Corps of
and
Engineers.
I'm sure we'd have city support. They
Yeah.
would love to see
Oh,
us
yeah.
clean.
But yeah, that's a huge, I mean, I just don't think you could touch anything until the Corps. Engineers look at it.
Anything else?
I'm all set.
Okay. Committee reports, finance committee. Mick, you want to say something or do you want me to take that?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm just happy that looking at CTHB financials now, that Kenji is putting together, that I'm getting to where I can trust the financials now. All the accrued expenses and stuff are there. And things like that, we're breaking even to making a little bit of money on our projects all the way around. So something that's taken, what, a year and a half, almost 2 years to get a good set of financials, I think we're there now.
Well, for us, it's been like 3 years before that too.
So that's all I have to say about the financials. But during that meeting, Mark, you brought up, you're working with the Everett Housing Commission, and you went through all of your residents' earned incomes and stuff. And you were just amazed at the amount of the people that lived there weren't people that laid on couches and watched Netflix all day, that they were the workforce that were at the Wesco's, at the nurses' aides, at the doctor's office, at the factories and stuff. And that's, we're not supporting, because you hear a lot of those other people.
Well, I struggle to define what affordable housing means to people. And so it's low income is affordable housing. And there's a lot of different connotations. And I just did an analysis of the folks that lived in, we had to do it for the RAD conversion anyway. And so it was astounding how many people were actively working in the community. I mean,
And the ones that aren't actively working are either retired or they have a physical.
Or there's a disability.
That they can't work.
so,
And if we didn't support those people, who would?
well, particularly in these small, we're the best and only housing available in some communities.
So I think, we should do those stats to present to the city in December or whenever, when we talk to them.
We will for the RAD conversion. We have to
Just like
verify
we did
incomes.
it For the red.
Yeah,
conversion,
yeah.
So they gotta be,
Yeah.
that information has to be something.
We have it. We just haven't quantified it and made a dive. And that's what we did with Baker Tilly. We started looking at different things because when you do the RAD conversion, everybody's entitled to come back and there could be some over income folks. And so we have to have a plan to address how we're going to handle that. And that's where these kind of flat rents come into play too. So
Okay, anything else on finance? Nick?
No, no.
Okay, personnel committee.
Since last meeting.
Okay, one thing, I don't know if the personnel committee handles this or if the board as a whole does. But Lori needs a review.
That would be a board review. The board has to do an evaluation.
But it's been well over a year since she's come.
I can get you forms.
I can help you through that.
Okay. Commissioners report. We'll start with you, okay, Jimmy?
Happy as a clam when I see 100%.
Mick?
I don't know if I should even bring it up, but what happened with the deadbolts? I mean, I know it was a financial issue, but,
I was told we couldn't do it because it required, Commonwealth to agree, and Commonwealth isn't going to let us spend it anymore.
I would maybe, we could defer that to the Riverside meeting, just a little bit.
Okay.
He did actually call me 2 days ago. The one that had the quote and just wondered.
Okay.
And I said, well, we're still hoping to do it. And I did, so last night I was working late and the Answer United is working great for the after hour calls.
Oh, good.
And so I seen on my email came up that a resident had just called, she was locked out. So I called up Kevin, I said, hey, I'm here, I can run over and let her in. So it's the third time she's locked herself out. She was just going next door to get something from the neighbor, and she didn't take her key with her. And so that would have cost her $75, because that's, I mean, we have to pay Kevin 3 hours overtime to come in. So I got off the elevator and I said, this is your lucky day. This is freebie because I'm still here. And she's like, oh, I love you. Thank you so much. So we, and then I was talking to another director at the conference, and she said that they went to deadbolts, and she said it's been great because the tenants can't lock themselves out. I mean, unless they leave and then go lose their key, but the chances, it's just gonna be great once we get to that
And
point.
it's more secure.
Right, I think we were looking at like 18,000, but I know Mark wants to keep moving here, so.
And the only other thing that I have is one of our employees, Lisa Roberts, her mother died the other day.
Yeah.
Last Thursday, so. And I'm starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And things are starting to gel a little bit, but I'm getting happy. So, received communications. Anything? Financial reports?
All good. Real good in public housing. Very, very good.
I'm not, EV. This is still just two properties, right?
Yeah,
I think it's 3, right, DB? I think there's 3.
Yeah, we have 3 properties, Jenny.
We have 3.
Yeah, we have 2 on Grove and 1 on,
Oh, is there 2 on Grove? Okay. Okay, and this, so, that's the rent for all 3
let me see what page you're on there.
total.
So I have reached out to the one gal, and I'm trying to help her get a Section 8 grant or Section 8 voucher, but it's so far, she said everywhere she's called, they said they're not available. So if we could get a voucher to help subsidize the rent, that would help keep the program stronger.
I don't think there's any Section 8 available last time.
Yeah, that's the rent for the 3 units. So,
That's, so they're not paying much rent.
well, you can see what's the average, maybe 600 a
This one. And we did verify that HUD won't let us sell, right?
Mishta.
Because
Well, they would consider it.
that one person wanted to buy that one, remember?
Well, yeah, when I asked her about that again, I said there might, do you want me to look into this further? And she didn't think she could afford it anymore.
Yeah, because then we have to pay back the original grant money.
Yeah, right.
So if we did first, we would have to reach out to an agency that will keep the mission going.
Oh,
I think we had to sign a 50-year mortgage with them, with Mishta. 30 or 50. Right.
50, and we did have a mission review. So he came, visited the units. And
so we're paying on a mortgage with that?
No, it's a deferred, it's never due and payable.
Oh,
It's always deferred.
as long as we keep the.
It's due in 50 years. So their common,
I won't be here.
no, their common knowledge is we're gonna forgive it in 50 years.
Okay.
so we receive
Yeah, we-
$100 a month, the housing commission, for managing the units. So we have $300 in income a month from managing these units.
Plus rent.
The rent goes back into the program.
We just charge a management fee as a management company.
So
What
the
about-
money that's in our account is supposed to last for the 50 years.
So what about, the maintenance on those units? That's our expense? We don't get.
No, that
reimbursed?
comes out of the program.
Oh, comes out of the program?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so we're not having any complaints from any neighbors anymore?
I haven't heard any.
Okay. You know,
Yeah, no, since the new resident arrived there, there's not been any
there's no
complaints.
problem. Lawns mowed and all that kind of good stuff.
Any other things pertaining to the financial reports? A vacancy report, Lori?
So we do actually have one on there now, but still, it's amazing, for it to look that good. If you want to look at those pictures, those are the 3, public housing units. That's the status of each one. The 2-bedroom, which is 1707. That is one that possibly, if we do any demolition, that one we would keep. So that one is turning out very nice. The flooring is getting done as we speak. The painting is 90% done. Well, he has to come back and he wants to wait till the floor guy's done to do a few more things, but
We're gonna make that full ADA.
no, we didn't need to. The family that there was a family that thought they may be interested in it, but they're not. They want to stay at Harborview. There's a family at Harborview that was on the 2-bedroom wait list.
Do we need an ADA unit? Because that's already got the 36-inch doorways.
We don't have anyone on the wait list that needs one.
I thought
currently.
you had to have so many per,
Well, that's all set already.
okay.
So is this the one that smelled like cat urine,
What's the address?
1707?
Yes.
Oh, how did we address that?
No, it's not.
Oh.
It's 1715.
So
We're
whatever-
gonna put, it's like a bin shellac over the whole floor, which is better than a kilt because it's alcohol based and it will get rid of that smell.
Yeah,
It'll steal the floor.
Yeah.
It's like putting a lot
That's-
into it without knowing that will
Exactly.
resolve it.
Yep. So 1707 is not the one, but 1715 is, and that's the one you see the new
Which we just
cabinets
put
in.
Cabinets in, and again, if it were me, I would never be able to live in that. So I want to make sure that that odor's gone.
Well, are
Yeah,
those?
we just had
those
a
aren't new
conversation
cabinets,
yesterday
they're
about how to
cabinets
make
from
sure it's
Big
gone.
Rapids, right?
What's that?
Those aren't new cabinets, those are cabinets you bought from Big Rapids.
My point being that if that's the last thing we do and we put all this money into it and that odor doesn't go away, how are people gonna live in that? So just my concern. I said this when we walked through it.
And I've got it handled.
We'll see.
Well, according to what I'm told, is this bin shellac, once we cover the whole floor in it?
Is it the subfloor we're covering?
Yeah.
Okay.
But you have a unit vacant, you have someone already lined up to re-rent it, right?
The 2-bedroom, we actually went through 7 people on the 2-bedroom wait list. And the application that we're working on currently is close to being approved for the 2-bedroom. And that's
So-
the one
so
that I'm hoping to fill by the end of next week, which is 1707. And then 1715, the 3-bedroom, we are working on,
No,
the wait
I'm
list.
I'm talking about CTHV.
oh, CTHV, the one unit that we have here. Yes, we're processing still.
So we are still full. We just are waiting for one to move out, one to move back in, right?
No, we had a gal move in and she said the smoke in the building made her allergies flare up, so she turned her keys back in after a week.
That was, it's,
That was on the second floor, so I'm addressing that.
oh,
But you have someone coming in right behind her though, right?
We are processing. We don't have an approved application as of today, but we are close.
Okay.
Yes,
it's disturbing, isn't it?
it was, yes.
So we know who the violator is?
I tried knocking on doors and going in units last night after 5 o'clock, just because a lot of times she said it was in the evening. And I did not nail it down completely, but I do have a couple possibilities. So I will be doing unit inspections again. And a lot of times when I walk in a unit, I can tell that they are smoking in there. So I'm really, really gonna have to aggressively enforce that no smoking rule. Even though we've been trying to, but
Yeah.
some people still are not obeying it. So, I mean, we may have to actually consider evicting some people for smoking in their units, which we have not had to resort to yet. But if it's, and this person passed the screening with flying colors, so it was great to, be able to move somebody in that passed with no problems. And then she was only here a week and she's like, I can't take the
Oh,
smoke and
okay.
the pot smoke too.
Maybe we could get a group that wants to quit and have a hypnotist come in.
We've tried it,
Public
nobody,
health will do the whole program, and I think we did offer that last year.
Nobody took us up on it.
Not really.
we've tried in everywhere I've been and nobody.
I mean, it's an addiction.
Newsletters. Are you still doing them or have you farmed that out to somebody?
So
else?
Britain did this one.
Good job.
She did.
Looks good. Almost as good as you do.
Now, there was an error on the washing machine programming. So you see where it says the dryers, you get 60 minutes for $3.50. Residents were only getting 30 minutes. So it worked out perfect yesterday when washed. So I asked the representative to come to address several different issues the residents were having. So he actually showed up during the resident council meeting, didn't he, Gary? So we brought him right in and I'm like, this is the guy that sold me these machines. So he did agree to, and which I'm gonna put in the newsletter, anyone who's used those large dryers, if they give me their name and the number on the back of their card, I can submit for a refund. So they'll automatically give everyone that's used those large dryers that were programmed incorrectly, they're gonna put money back on their cards for them.
Oh, sweet.
So this is now gonna work for 60 minutes, though. He's got them programmed correctly now.
Yeah, yesterday.
60 minutes seems
60
like a
minutes
long
is a long
time to
time.
try.
Well, 5, so like I had a gal come to the office and she said, I had to spend $7 to dry 6 towels.
What?
Because she had to do it twice, because it was only doing 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
I know, but it doesn't take me 60 minutes to dry my towels.
And it depends on.
I would think commercial,
So
better than residential.
You don't want to set it's a rent site.
bulky bedding and things like that are gonna take. Mine is usually 60 minutes for my bedding.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else in the newsletter? Public comments.
The washers, there's 2 washers, 18 and 12 in there, that's the numbers on the top. They won't accept payment.
Okay,
I put notes on them so that people won't have to take out their wet. Not
Thank
wet,
you.
but soap all over their laundry, put in another one. And on the deadbolts. Riverside, I don't understand what's happening, but, they need to understand they're putting you guys in a contributory negligent position. Not on people locking their keys inside, but somebody slipping in and doing harm or something. Once you become aware of the problem that they can be open with a credit card or a butter knife, it has to be attended to.
The only thing I'll say there is it's been that way since they were built. But
But that
you have
doesn't
no
change the law.
argument, you have no argument from me that we just done. Any other public comment?
Question, will we be notified when the fire alarm will be programmed to be more sensitive to and room?
Sorry,
Yeah, I can put that in the newsletter. Just make sure you read your newsletter.
Only because of-
Right.
That's what it's like.
I know, and I always try and call, if I have the time and I'm here, I always try and make sure you're aware anytime we have to set them off for anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I put in the newsletter, but sometimes I try and call you
Right.
specifically because I know he does not like those alarms.
Yeah, they're. And it's different than what I cook. I won't cook anything that I know smokes if that's gonna happen, so I try to prevent that from happening, less headache all around.
they're that sensitive?
Our, do we have fans over the, we have fans?
Fans on the
But they're not that strong probably.
Do they vent outside or they vent right back in?
They're
They're just noise
They're
fans.
not, yeah.
Well, they pull the grease out of the air, that's about all that they're really good for.
They make noise.
Mhm.
Gotta turn your own fan on.
If you got a floor fan or a box fan, that works the best. Yes, I'm awake.
Any other public comment? Gary?
I'd just like to make, notice that we have restarted the, resident council committee at CTHV. Yesterday was our first meeting. We do have our, full, executive board filled. We have, I think, 3 or 4 vacancies to complete the allowed number on the board itself. Meeting went well, according to me. I haven't gotten any bruises, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did a great job running it, Gary.
Thank you.
My understanding, you're the new president, right?
I'm the new president.
That's good.
Congratulations.
Thanks for,
Thank you.
thanks for stepping forward.
And thanks for coming to today's meeting to represent the council.
I had to, she slept in, so I had some.
I know, she called.
I'd like to try to be to every council meeting anyway, just to keep up on what's going on, some days I can't, cause I have COPD and it's hard for me to walk uphill. And the next meeting's up there, but I'll do my best.
And the holiday celebration, we talked about the Housing Commission paying for a dinner on December 19th. And I would have Kentucky Fried Chicken deliver chicken, mashed potatoes, coleslaw, biscuits, and all residents from both scattered sites and CTHV are welcome to come to this room. And it is a day of our commission meeting, so if the board wanted to stay or come back for lunch, then they would be welcome to do that too. So I am working on planning that.
This is the bigger space for everybody.
Is there any reason why you're using Kentucky Fried Chicken versus another local business?
No, that's what we did in Big Rapids and the residents loved it because you get your mashed potatoes, your gravy, your coleslaw and your chicken. It was simple, it was affordable, and the residents loved it.
What was the date?
December 21st.
19.
The day of the commission meeting in December, which is also going to be when we have our public hearing on the agency, the 5-year agency plan and the 2025 annual plan that will be going up for review next week. It'll be in the paper, that'll be up for review, and it will go through a 45-day comment period. And then at the December meeting, I will need you to hold a public comment period for any comments on it.
Will that be posted on the website?
That is,
Review?
what was the
That would
review?
be nice.
You have to have review, so public can look at it, right? So I posted on the website.
What are we reviewing again? I missed that. Our 5-year.
Yeah,
plan?
annual plan, agency plan.
Yeah. Hi.
So
Okay, no further public comments, the announcements and upcoming meetings, we'll have a Riverside meeting right after this. And our next regularly scheduled commission meeting is Thursday, November 21st at Harbor. Any other announcements? I take a motion to adjourn.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thanks, everybody.
I have 2 minutes.
Wait a minute. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. We see two people.
Boy, this is kind of light.
You can split them up.
Hey, did you mean to give me all these applications?
Or did we?
I should take one, like,
Did
so
we
I
turn?
have it.
This is only the.
We can do it.
Property.
Oh, no.